Hi, it's Ethan Musolini, the Merchant of Success. Welcome. And today we are going to focus on creativity and innovation 2.0. It's a topic I believe in very strongly because without the creative and innovative side of yourself, then you will find limited opportunities and you won't be able to stretch as much as possible. When you look around you where you are at, I see my chair, I see my notebook, pen, my broadband gadget, the light above. So all these are products of creativity and innovation. Even this platform that we are on right now are gifts and products of innovation. So the key thing is creativity and innovation is at the core, center, and heart of moving forward. Today, when I was doing a Facebook Live, I mentioned that when you think about it, as human beings, we are co-creators, created in God's image. And if we are created in God's image, and we know that God is always creating, therefore, us creating and innovating is part of living our divine mandate of being God's ambassadors here on planet Earth. If we are to follow God's lead, then we ought to be creating. We are co-creators, not observers, co-creators, and meaning we create with God. So if that's the case, then just remember it's not just a strategic or tactical mandate, it's also a spiritual mandate. That's what I strongly believe in when I was reflecting about it this afternoon, in the early part of the day. So just remind yourself of that, in that if we are to be godlike, then we have to innovate, we have to create, because when you look around you, God is always creating new plants, new leaves, new fruits, new something, new sunrise, new sunset. So that new rain, it's always, nature is always in motion, creating and innovating. So hold that as the frame, as the container that will guide us as we are, not guide, but also inspire or set the stage, set the foundation for you to be thinking about the subject of creativity. It's not just a cute idea to think about. I believe it's a divine idea that we ought to be not only thinking about, but executing day in, day out. All right, let's continue then. So there are 5 areas that I always look at: the clarity of what it is and why it's important, the mindset, the strategies, the skill sets, and then the mastery. Now, when we talk about clarity on creativity and innovation, I like this ad from Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs, way back in 1997. Said, here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They are not fond of rules. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. The late Steve Jobs, 1997. That's the ad he used to market Apple, the Apple computer. And apart from this ad being brilliant marketing, because he's calling out, by the way, as a lesson in marketing here, in sales and marketing, he is calling out the people he wants to deal with. He wants to deal with the crazy ones. So if you believe that you're crazy, well, he's saying, hey, you're the ones I'm looking out for. If you think you're just normal and all that, please don't bother. In marketing, there is there is pull and push, okay? So this is push marketing. It is both push and pull. Push in a sense that if you're not crazy, you run away. If you're crazy, you come in. So you identify, he's calling out who he's communicating to. But you can see, but most critically, he's telling you that the crazy ones are the ones who change the world. And that's true. I agree with him. And by the way, when someone tells me, oh, Ethan, you're crazy, oh, Ethan, you're weird, I always say thanks for the compliment. So before it used to annoy me. Now I say, oh, thanks for the compliment for two reasons. One, if you think that I'm crazy or weird, it means I'm different. If you just call me normal, then I'm just like everyone else. And secondly, I use it as a strategy to show the person that it's not a big deal, because there are people who say certain things just to annoy you or pull you off the rail. So I don't allow them to pull me off the rail. I say, hey, okay, cool, I'm fine. Thanks for the compliment. Okay. And then I even smile, and then they laugh and it's gone. But there is the idea of the crazy. So I believe to innovate and create, you have to put on a crazy mind, not put on a crazy mind, but you have to be open to crazy ideas. You have to be open to weird ideas. So think about creativity and innovation as partly being fueled by that craziness. Craziness. Yeah, craziness can be very useful. It adds value to the world because, in my view, we are on day what? Nathan, we are on day what now? Is it? I just need to figure out which day we are on now. But I believe we are on day, let me see, 13. So we're on day 27 today. Day 27. So we're on a 40-day marathon. I've never done that in my life. It's a crazy idea to promise the world that you're going to be live for 40 days non-stop. But guess what? It has pushed me and my colleagues to be innovative and creative. So just be open to the idea of being crazy. And guess what? When you're crazy, if the craziness is for the good, that's how you change the world. You add value. So innovation is often also viewed as the application of better solutions that meet new requirements, unarticulated needs, or existing market needs. That's what innovation is. So you're looking for something better. So the difference between innovation and creativity. So creativity, just think about it from the word create. It's like something close to original, while in innovation, it's one thing already, but then you find a better way to package it, or something that you feel people hadn't identified, and yet you still create that. And by the way, when we talk about market needs, there are personalities who see beyond, how people say market survey. One of the biggest moving ideas that has ever crossed my mind was the fact that Steve Jobs wasn't necessarily there was no market survey, if my memory serves me right, for an iPad. It was not there. But he felt that it would be a good product, so he created it and created a want in our hearts, showing, hey, you want to be cool? Here is the deal. Here is it. Here it is. So just know that whereas market surveys are great, there are also moments where you just feel this spark of inspiration. So I'm sure it must have been an idea from above that he got this idea and boom, decided to go with it. And long story short, built a multi-billion-dollar business that is outlasting him, okay? So let's remember that also, in that sometimes it's not just about the needs being in the marketplace. Sometimes you can actually create a want by innovating something or creating something. According to Howell and Higgins, it says that innovation is the process by which entrepreneurs convert opportunities into marketable ideas. So you see an opportunity, you say, okay, how do I market this? How do I package this? So when I think about that definition, I'm reminded that, I knew, for example, that I had a passion in speaking and connecting with people, making a difference. And so I said, okay, how do I get people to pay me? How can I get people to pay me to do what I love doing? So that was an opportunity come turned a marketable idea. So just remember that concept also, in that part of the game is to see an opportunity and you package it into a marketable idea, into a marketable product or service. A friend of mine who traveled to China told me that in China, they create value out of eggshells. That's an opportunity available, turned into a marketable asset. Or someone finds garbage and turns into power, into gas, becomes a fuel it becomes fuel. What was garbage all of a sudden becomes fuel. Creativity is a function of knowledge, curiosity, imagination, and evaluation. And we'll be talking about that a little later. So typically, the more knowledgeable you are, and when I say knowledge, I don't mean just one area, multiple areas. The more curious you are, the more imaginative you are, the more creative you're going to become. That's why children are it's amazing. If you have children, whether you have children or not, just get close to children and just observe how they think. They are just crazy. And sometimes I'm like, I wish I could become child again. So part of creativity, if you may take this other mindset again, which was not there now that I'm thinking about it, or that the idea has been downloaded into my head, is part of the mindset of creativity and innovation is being childlike. Because children are always saying, okay, how about this? Or why not this? Okay, we consider this. For them, everything and anything is possible. There are things that I see and I'm like, this thing can't work. And my daughter is like, no, but what if it works? No, you check. No, you check again. And for her, she feels like, no, it should work. Why not? And sometimes she wins. That's being childlike. So I would encourage you, part of the mindset, one of the biggest mindsets, which I had not captured in this presentation, is the idea of always being childlike. So you just have to keep going. Abala says a wise brain never keeps quiet. Okay, thank you, Abala, for that. So my daughters then don't keep quiet. They ask, how about this? How about that? No, how? Why not this? Why not that? And again, like I've said, sometimes they win because of that mindset, childlike mindset. So why is creativity important? Number one, you're able to provide solutions to challenges easily because then you're thinking of what could be possible. Number two, you'll become more competitive. One of the reasons I believe a company like Apple is competitive is its sense of creating and innovating. They are always on the cutting edge of creating and innovating, and it's one of the key secrets to their being competitive. More business, more profit. Especially if you're in the for-profit space. And I'm here to propose to you that even if you are in the non-for-profit space, you figuring out how to serve your consumers better or your target market better in different aspects, whether it is to deliver services to them faster or quicker or cheaper. That alone, that sense of innovation and creativity will attract more funding. You see, the thing is, the reason why this subject is important is that people are asking what more, what is new. I like the what is new idea because this happened to me when I was at the age of 29, and I had published 4 books and I had a DVD on stress management. I was feeling like a king. I was like, man, you're the dude. 4 books, 1 DVD, 5 products before the age of 30. Come on, you're the man. That's what I was telling myself. So then one afternoon, I was at Hotel Africana, and there was someone who was helping me to sell the products. I don't remember who. So then some gentleman comes across me and is speaking loudly. It's like, Ethan, how are you? I'm like, fine. So I have all your products. Anything new? I was like, I'm working on it. It's like, okay. So in that moment, I woke up. I was like, aha. So what I thought was being on top of the world is really just the beginning. That's not how I framed it, but I was like, okay, it means I have to create new. People are asking, what is new? Because that guy actually is asking, anything new? So just know the world is asking, anything new? And I'm so grateful to that gentleman because it's true. I really believe God sends certain people at certain periods in our lives for a purpose. I don't know the name of that guy. I don't remember. I just remember the body, how he looks like, but not the face, not exactly, but the voice is still so loud and clear. In my view, he was an angel on planet Earth, because from that moment on to really woke me up, and I went on a creation sprint, and I produced more than 40 products. That was version 1.0, and which has given birth to this version 2.0. So just to remember that people are always asking, anything new? So that's one of the reasons. You see that invention, let's talk about different levels of innovation and creativity. The invention is something that is going to happen. If you don't invent it, someone else will. Just remember that. You either invent it or someone else will invent it. Emily, it's okay. You remind me at the end, I will give you the title of the books. Okay, just, yeah, anyhow, since you're asking me, let me just say it's fresh. There's Public Speaking Secrets Exposed. There's Get Motivated in 30 Seconds or Less. There's Confidence and Self-Esteem Secrets, and Wisdom and Success Quotes. I hope, Wisdom and Success Quotes. I hope those are all the 4. So there's one on public speaking, confidence. I hope I've not repeated. It's as if I repeated the title. Just let me know. All right, Emily says has 2. Okay, great, cool. Yeah, public speaking, confidence, get motivated, wisdom and success quotes. All right, inventions. If you don't invent it, someone else will. If you don't serve the customer well, someone else will. Now, let me tell you about this idea of inventing it. Here is my belief, in that when God wants something created, he will come to gives that inventive, I'm just imagining, sends his innovation and creative angel, innovation and creativity angels to talk to so-and-so about this. If you don't act on it quickly, the angel runs, the angel of creativity and innovation goes to someone else. If they don't act on it, they run to someone else until it gets innovated or created. So that's my belief. So when you say, when you don't, someone else will, that's why if I was to ask each one of you, have you ever thought of an idea and you didn't act on it? Then a few months or years down the road, someone else does. And like, I had just the same idea. Okay. I'm sure if I was to ask all of you to type in the chat box, you would say, yeah, that's me. So that's my belief in that. That's my imagination. And I believe it should be accurate because I've seen it over and over and over again. So you get the idea. If you don't implement it, the angels will take it. God will send, or God or the angels will go to someone else who will implement. The other key is discovery. And at the discovery level, it's when you become aware of or stumble upon something. You land onto something. For example, about 13 years ago, I was going through this program. I was going through a program, and the gentleman said that rather than create a product and then create a platform of following to market, his idea or thought process was create the platform first or create the community first. So like, wow, that's a great idea. I remember I'd spent $500. I'm not sure whether I went through the rest of the program, but that idea was priceless. And that's how I started creating some of my online platforms. So there's the discovery stage. Then with the creation stage, there are things that only your organization can create. The key is tapping into what those things are. There are things that each one of us watching live or watching the recording, there are things that only you can invent or create, period. Just in the same way, there are things that only you, your organization, based on its blueprint, skill sets, team mix, and abilities and experiences can invent or create. So you need to find out what that is. Nathan says, my mentor often says, a good idea is like a baby crying in church. Carry it out immediately. I like that. That's so cool. Thank you, Nathan. Now let's look at the mindset. The mindsets held by creatives and innovators. The first mindset is, if not me, who? If not now, when? So the creators and innovators feel like they're on a mission. It's them. I mean, they would be robbing the world if they didn't. So they have that sense of urgency and even thinking, if not now, when? So it's like they are driven, they are maniacs. Okay, maniac may not sound very positive, but it is what it is. They are manic about making sure that what is dropped in their mind, heart, and spirit is done. I really love people who act on things immediately. There are few characters, but man, and those characters achieve so much. So you have to, so that's a mindset worth borrowing. So again, I'm giving you these mindsets so that you see what do you need to borrow. And I usually believe in the if not me, who. It's just that sometimes I delay on the execution, not always, sometimes. And my goal is that I'm able to act on everything quickly. Next, how can we do it better? That's the mindset they have. Okay, this is it. How can we do it better? No, how can we do it better? At the top of his game, I believe it's still his habit. Tiger Woods was a world champion, not world champion. He was number one. He was the number one golfer in the world. As of this recording, I believe not so. And after his first championship, or after winning the Masters, I believe either a year or two later, he changed his swing coach. Says, you know what? I want to improve my swing. So he changed his swing, and his rank, his performance went a little bit behind, but then once he mastered the new swing, pew, he took off again. So meaning his thought process was, it's not enough to be number one. You have to always upgrade and aim for and consistently move yourself to the best version of yourself. The aim is the best version of yourself. And to get to the best version of yourself, each day you need to ask yourself, how can I be better? What can I do better? Or how can we do it better? Because one of the most dangerous mindsets is we've got it or we have arrived. So Tiger Woods then, I believe, had that wisdom to think, you know what, I've not arrived. I just have to keep getting better. The next question is, how can we do it faster? When you look at people who invent software, especially, that's part of the game. Tell you, okay, this job is, or when you see different versions or even different laptops. So they're thinking, okay, this is an i3. Okay, how can we get the machine to run faster? Okay, i4. Okay, i5, i6, i7. No, they are always thinking of how can we do it faster? How can this laptop perform faster? Now, for people who do software, for example, they might look at the workflow and thinking, okay, this workflow takes you 6 hours. How can we do this in 1 hour? Let's automate some processes and all this kind of stuff. So that's the thought process. How can we do it faster? Now, faster for you, again, depends. Does it mean hiring more people? Does it mean shortening the process? I'll give you an example. One of the simplest examples of innovation that I've seen before is there was a bank that had a very long form, and someone came up with a shorter version. And they saved the paper. Customers saved time, better work, better experience for the customer, and better bottom line for the bank. How can we do it cheaper? So now, like that version of the form that I'm talking about, it's faster and it's cheaper. So part of your job is to think, okay, how can we do it cheaper? How can we execute this cheaper? How can we get the same job done cheaper? And then how do we make the quality better? And then I will show you a model that combines all the last 3 points. How can we make the quality better? Again, technology is one of those spaces that you should study as much as possible because it's part of their drivers. This is one of their core drivers. Quality, quality, quality. And also going back to all these things I'm mentioning about the organizations, they also apply to you as an individual. So meaning for you at an individual level, you need to ask yourself, okay, this is the level of report that I send out. I'm just curious, how can I improve the quality of my reports? How can I create my reports faster? All right, collecting data costed us $100,000. How can we get to the same quality of data cheaper? So you keep asking yourself those questions because when you do that, it always makes a big difference in how you're thinking and moving forward, right? Friends, let's look at the 4 strategies that innovators and creatives use. So number 1 is to create an environment that encourages innovation. Prizes for innovation, welcome weird ideas, accommodate round pegs in square holes. I know Peter Diamandis is someone I would highly recommend you look out for. He has written books like Bold and Abundance. I've read both of them. But one of the I just need to remember the solution he was looking for. Called it the X Prize. So meaning he just wanted to create a prize for innovation, and you'll be amazed at the number of entries that came through. Now, of course, when I'm saying all these things, it does not mean that you have to perform at that level. Of course, if you and I are able to get to that level, even better. Think about coming up with innovation of the year or innovation of the month at your workplace. I'm just thinking aloud. So whatever we came up with innovation prizes, and that's the key, by the way, because there are people, you know, I really believe if we spent as much time thinking about solutions and innovations the same way people think about how to punish and discipline people, because listen, people really will spend days and weeks and months thinking through, okay, if you make this mistake, this is how I will punish you. If you do this, this is how I will go about it. So how about we think on how to do hacks for innovation at the workplace? So we think deeply. Say, okay, if we have to come up with a prize for innovation, what would it mean? Where can we find the money? So we deploy the same amount of energy in terms of these things that move us forward in the same regard or in the same vein as those moments where we want to maintain the status quo or punish people or something like that. So just think about how can we create an environment for innovation, and how do we also welcome weird ideas. So when I say welcome weird ideas, so part of that environment is people should feel free they should feel like whichever idea they put across, even though there is no guarantee that it will be adopted, at least they should feel like they will not be held, they will be called weird or laughed at. Just because something is weird doesn't mean that the person should be laughed at. So instead, we find a way to create an environment where weird ideas are encouraged and those impossible things are welcome to be discussed. Then that way people start thinking. Now, that environment, I believe, is the same thought process we should have at a personal level, and also encourage our children. I'll give you an example. So our girls, one who is 7 and the other one 3.5 as of this recording, for them, almost at least every other day, they are always recreating their living room. And they bring pillows, they put boxes, and then they are calling it their new home, their new room, or whatever it is. And for me, I always find it exciting. And so one of our family members one time said, oh, clean up that mess. And in my head, I said, no, it's not a mess. They are creating. They're being creative. They're being innovative. So whereas it can be challenging, pushing them to clean it up in the evening, in a way, they are reminding us that, hey, you can recreate your environment. You can recreate that. And my thought process is they should be encouraged to recreate their environment, to let their brains fly, let their thoughts fly to new worlds. So that in the same way, we should create an environment where people's weird ideas are not called weird. They should be called exciting or fascinating. So even when someone's idea, by the way, that's a good word, fascinating. So let's just suppose someone proposes an idea that you feel is weird and is hard for you to comprehend. You can say, that's a fascinating idea. That's just fascinating that you can think that way. I'm not saying that I'm agreeing. I'm saying it's fascinating. The other interesting strategy is problem flipping. E.g., if you wish to improve customer service, ask your staff to generate many ways in which customer service can be made worse. Then design solutions for these suggestions. Yeah. So meaning you look at the worst case scenario. So you could ask, okay, what are the different ways in which our reports could be made poor? Well, poor grammar. All right. You know, you generate as many as possible and say, okay, what solutions can we put in place to make sure that we never have a challenge of poor grammar in our reports? Make sense? So you're thinking about the problems ahead of time, and therefore you're creating solutions ahead of time. So that way you're not waiting for the problem, you're creating the solutions ahead of time. The other strategy is incubation. I mean, greenhousing strategy, the greenhousing strategy. You grow new ideas, you water them, you give them time to mature. Okay. So you need to think that way. And when I say give them time to mature, you know, there are people who just nip ideas in their bud and they don't give them a chance of the day. They don't give them the light of the day. And I'm here to propose to you that sometimes, not sometimes, usually better to give the idea some time. Put it under a greenhouse. See, under a greenhouse, you're protecting these seedlings, as an example, from the sunshine, from you know, fierce rain or snow if you live in the Western world. And as such, so what you're doing is the fierce water or the fierce sunshine and all that are the criticisms and the quick judgments we impose on these new ideas. So the trick then is, how do we then protect those ideas? You greenhouse them by making sure that, you know, they're not criticized, they're given time to see, okay? Let's reflect on this. Let's think about the possibilities. Let's come again tomorrow and see. Just plug it there, and you know, let's just think on ways on how we can make that a success. You know, just write down. I know you may not believe it fully, but just think, what else could we do to make it a success? You're watering it. You're watering the idea. And then who knows, you might be pleasantly surprised. The other strategy is the team strategy. So you put in place self-supervising and self-driven teams. Encourage innovation in teams. Task different units to come up with their own ideas. In fact, there are some organizations who have full-time innovation teams. Having said that, I believe that if you're a team leader or head an organization, I believe that what is even more sustainable is that innovation is a culture, not a department. That it's a common practice. It's a way of living and being. So how can you encourage teams to innovate? Just the same way you may encourage individuals, you can also encourage teams. And you could even, assuming you have so this is how you can practically do it. Let's just suppose there is a challenge or you're looking for ways to generate more money. So you could say, okay, each team or each department is going to come up with practical ways on how we can generate money. And the team whose idea is adopted by management, or possibly not even adopted, the team whose idea is engaged and actually works will win this. And winning may not necessarily mean money. It might even be an award. We'll win an innovation award of the month. Again, it's you to be creative, okay? So trust me, if you put there like an actual prize of money or something, it will motivate the team even much faster and harder. And if you don't have that, you could come up with an award or something, okay? A plaque. Say, okay, the marketing team won the innovation of the quarter, of the month. So you're tasking different teams to come up with ideas. So meaning you're relying on teams, using those team synergies to create, to innovate. So Godfrey is asking more clarification on the greenhousing strategy, please. So the way that works is rather than judge, you nourish. Because when ideas come in, when new ideas come in, people start judging, oh, that will work, that won't work. So meaning one idea is given life, the other idea is, is declared dead, it's put off the table. Now, greenhousing says, you know what? Let's nurture all ideas. So what does nurturing mean in this context? So rather than declare as if it won't work, say, you know what? What if it works? Right? Let's just suppose it works. How would it work? Let's just suppose this is a workable idea. How would it actually work? Let's think. So, meaning you've started to water that idea rather than starve it of sunshine and water, just like the plant. If you starve the plant of water and sunshine, it will die. And the watering and the sunshine here is to say, okay, let's see, how can we make it work? No, let's give it a chance. Let's give it a light of the day. Let's water this idea. And what does watering mean? You just imagine it can work, you give it a chance, you just keep that thought of it could be possible, right? So that's how it's framed. Let's look at the skill set. And with this skill set, I wanted to use a simple process, which I like. It's, I borrowed it from Donald F. and M. Hodgetts, 2001. So, it's the phases of a creative process, which, as I'm flashing it on the screen, reflect on how you could potentially use it. Number one is background or knowledge accumulation. So what you do here is you read, you research, you interview people, you ask questions, you observe, you listen to audios, watch videos on the subject matter. It's like you become a sponge. You accumulate as much as possible. No, that's accumulation stage. And then once you've accumulated, it's the incubation process. You say, okay, you take a break, you let things, you leave that intense search, and now you go into, you let go. So you give the brain, the subconscious mind to start cooking. You let it to simmer. One of my friends deals in herbs. And she told me she introduced me to the idea of infusing, in that the herbs they have to go through a process of infusion. And infusion is when you get the herbs, you put in the water. So, that process of them, releasing the juices to the water and all that, it's an infusion. So what you're doing is you're really letting the brain to literally go, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind to go into an infusion stage, such that, say, after a day or a week or even a month, now you get the proper juice. And then the chunks that are not necessary can be thrown away, but the refined process is done. Because you notice, if you just get the water, the hot water, and you pour in, say, the herbs or tea, or whatever you want to call it, it's not as, so you've not maximized the value of the juices or the nutrients in those herbs, as an example. But when you give it time, then when you give the hot water and the herbs time, then you've given those two resources an opportunity to co-create a great drink or a great herbal experience, whatever you want to call it. So then you're able to extract the finest pieces from a combination from the dance of the herbs and the water by you giving it time. So you have researched, you have put in all the pieces, you know, from the audios, the videos, and all that, you put it aside. So you know what? See you later. And then later you can come and check. So that's the incubation process. Next is the idea experience, discovery of the idea or solutions to the problem. So now from that combination, you're able to get different connections. You get the eureka, you're like, hello, yeah, now it makes sense, it's here, yeah. And remember, of course, when you're doing this background research and knowledge accumulation, you have a goal. There's either a problem you want to solve or an opportunity you want to create. So there is an intention behind that, just that you haven't figured out what it is. And then here, because of the incubation process, now all of a sudden, boom. Because you collected, you incubated, boom, the idea to the solution pops up. And then once you get the idea or solutions, a couple of, so when I say idea, it's not just an idea, I beg your pardon, you get a couple of ideas and potential solutions to the problem or the opportunity. If I was to add it on as Ethan, so you get different ideas and potential solutions. That's what this stage is all about. And then you evaluate and implement. Say, okay, so of all these ideas, which one would be the most applicable or tangible or feasible? What would give us the biggest return on investment, or what would give us the best return on time, energy, and resources? So that, you know, you can have a criteria depending on your context to determine what you should implement. Are you mainly focused on revenue? Is your idea focused on generating revenue? Then it should be the idea that will most likely generate for you revenue. Are you focused on cutting costs? Then it should be the idea that has the biggest possibility to reduce costs for you. So you evaluate the ideas and then you pick the one which you feel has the best possibility for success. There are even scientists who know how to, I was going through a certain course, and this guy was talking about, was rating the levels of confidence. And he was saying, okay, this one has an 80% confidence, this one has 90% confidence. I was like, that's cool. I love mathematicians. Do we have any mathematician online, by the way, right now? Please type in the chat box if you're one, because they are quite interesting characters. So, meaning you can look at the numbers and think through about the one which has the biggest possibility for success on a scale of 0 to 100%. Which one? You say, this one has a 5% possibility for success. If there is a way to formulate those numbers anyway. So for me, that would be the scientific way to do it. But if not, you can use your intuitive or logical side of things to come up with those numbers. So that's the model. And then next is the innovation triangle. What we call the innovation triangle is another skill set you can work at deploying. I learned this many years ago. If I'm not mistaken, I could have gotten this from Total Quality Management. And in that, if you can find a way to do things in less time, less resources, and with better quality. So better quality, less time, less resources. That's the magic, that is the sweet spot here, right here. This sweet spot is where the quality is higher in less time with the less resources. So if you can put, if you forgot everything else, you put this triangle in front of your face and say, okay, how can we deliver higher quality in less time with less resources? Boom, that's where the magic is. That's where the magic is. Is it easy? Most likely not. Is it exciting? Absolutely yes. Does it produce results? Yes, because I strongly believe that's what this is the core that technology companies use. Like I had hinted earlier. So this is the triangles. This is the frame I was referring to earlier to show you how everything can be put together in one page. So this is it. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. You always think better quality, less time, less resources. Where the three meet, the intersection, that's the magical spot of quality. Because you see, the challenge is some people think, because usually the mental block is, if we spend less time, then we might make more mistakes and the quality is reduced. Or if we spend less money, then we will source poor products and the quality will be poor. And I'm saying that's a mental block, because the truth is there could be a way, for example, to automate the process and you reduce the time or you reduce the number of steps. Resources, guess what? You could source better. You could negotiate better. You could actually find someone with better quality resource, with less resources, I beg your pardon. So meaning you can source certain things of an even better quality at less amounts. I'm sure it has happened to all of us at one time. And then ultimately the quality is better. So it's just a mental block to think that just because it's free, that it's not great quality. No. Just because here, think about it. Has it ever occurred to you, for example, that you spend less time learning something? Someone gives you something short, like for 5 minutes, but you get more value out of those 5 minutes than having gone through some course for 50 minutes. I'm sure it has happened to us before. In 5 minutes, you get more value than you spent, say, even a full hour listening to some, God knows what. So here is your innovation challenge. You're going to use your creative side to come up with an idea that can add value to your work or life. Then take it through the innovation phases for the next 4 weeks. Okay. So again, just to show you the innovation phases, here they are. You accumulate knowledge, then you go into the incubation, then you look at the different solutions or possibilities, and then you evaluate and implement that something. Okay. Now, to make it even better, it would even be cool if you can, in the next 4 weeks, if you can do it even in a week, even better, all right? So then you can report quickly. All right, when you go to your breakout rooms, or if you're watching the recording, you pause. This is what you need to reflect upon. What did you find most useful in this presentation? And how are you going to implement the lessons moving forward in your life and career stroke business? So that's your task to execute. So Priscilla, with the breakout rooms, Priscilla was referring to her colleagues as Innovator Mwima and Innovator Betty. And that's a great title because earlier when I was doing Facebook Live, I was saying one of the core mindsets, of course, is you have to take on the identity of someone creative and innovative. That's one of the mindsets you have to adopt. It's the core. Because if you see yourself as less than creative, as less than innovative, then it will block your brain. But if you see yourself as an innovator, as a creator, it opens your brain. Light bulbs will start switching on, and then new insights will start flying in because of the identity. So part of the core strategy of not strategy, but mindset is seeing yourself as an innovator. So that's a fantastic name to adopt. Then earlier Justina was asking, to answer the question, how can we do it better, faster? Does it need one to have a deep understanding of the competitors or just set my bar high? Well, I would say both. And what do I mean by both? So sometimes competition may wake you up and give you new ideas, new concepts, because once you get to know what the competition is doing, you might figure out, they might spark some new ideas. And once you know what's in the marketplace, you can, because you might think that it's a totally new idea, only to discover that someone did it 1 year ago. So, and they are now on something totally different. So you need both. And then, of course, you need to keep setting your bar higher. Setting your bar higher, you should be the number one. You should always competing with yourself. So that's the most sustainable. And so you need to look outside and look inside. So you need that balance, awareness of what's going on, and also awareness that you have to always keep pushing the bar higher and higher. Okay. Then just a second. So the other question that Justine asked, what exactly does one engage in during incubation phase? Okay, what does one engage in? Whatever works for you. You could go swimming. So incubation phase, you do something totally different from generating ideas. So you switch off that tap. So you can do anything. You can play, you can do other activities, but totally different from the idea searching stage of accumulating things towards solving a solution. So it's you give that space. And those who are spiritual, they will tell you, you leave God to work on those ideas, to help you work on those ideas anyhow. So you can do anything apart from accumulating the same knowledge in the same direction. What's the difference between an idea and a solution in the context of today? In the context of today, ideas just point you towards a direction, while a solution sounds like something that is concrete. Okay. Let me give you an example. So an idea could be, oh, by the way, I understand around this place, let's assume you're looking for water. You might say, by the way, I heard that there could be a well if we go towards the east side of where we are at now. So now the well on the east, that's an idea. A solution is something that sounds very tiny. No, but there is a swamp. Just yesterday I was at the swamp. Just go to the swamp. There is water there. So that's a solution because you are looking for water. Let me see who else.